When we're talking about the environment, I'm going to talk to you about the fresh air that's around us. Here in Lucedale, it's abundant, and we're not in a big city, thank the Lord for that. I always call Lucedale a booming metropolis, but I know we're blessed to be in the country out here. But we're going to talk about proper breathing and making sure that we get the fresh air that we need. You think about back in the Garden of Eden, I've gone back there several times as we start our talks, really things were just perfect in the garden. Everything was provided for them that they needed to have perfect health. And one of them was the atmosphere around them. They had the fragrance of the trees, the flowers, the babbling brooks, and things of that nature just calmed the soul. And the fresh air that took in the oxygen to their body was really invigorating. So when you think about the birds singing and things of that nature, doesn't it just make you calm and relaxed and feel really good? So they had it really good before they left the garden. The air was fresh and clean, not so much today, but back then it was very nice and clean. Of course, their fruit was, heavy on the trees, and they could just reach right there and get some and partake of really perfect fruit and beautiful fruit. Today, we don't have all of that, and we're kind of in these buildings where we're, most of us anyway, we're having air conditioning or heating from indoors, and we have all our windows shut tight, and we really should have our windows cracked just a little bit. Sometimes it might make our air conditioning or heating bill go up just a slight bit, but really to keep the air circulating through there and get those negative ions from outside is really what we need in our own bodies. We want to do that. Plus, this will help to heal from diseases even. When you're all stuffy into the house and you've got the same air you're breathing, you're actually breathing what your body is putting off. And those are things that your body isn't using. You want to get the fresh air, fresh, clean air. Also, besides just what we're breathing, it's actually even how we're breathing. We're really breathing very shallow. I mean, I'm just as guilty most of the time. I'm just sitting there not really doing much of anything, unless I'm working out. When I do try to go there to exercise at the gym or whatever, I am actually breathing a lot, but then I'm indoors because I'm at the gym or the wellness center down here. And it's better if you want to get a brisk walk outside or something like that to take in that fresh air. But besides that, I forget where I was going with that, but anyway, yeah, the how you breathe. Thank you. So the shallow breathing, we want to get away from that. And there's I'll go over some exercises that you can kind of do to get you more used to breathing deeper and filling your lungs to capacity. When your bodies are going to get enough oxygen in them, you're going to notice that you have a little bit of little elevated energy. And you're going to feel better. And of course, that helps you to put a smile on your face. When you don't feel good, you don't smile too much. The Bible says in Leviticus 17:11 that the life of the flesh is in the blood. And when you have a well-oxygenated blood, and it's an essential contributor to health when you have them oxygen going through there. And of course, all of the things that we've been talking about is going to help the circulation as well. And perfect health is going to be with perfect circulation. You want the water to keep your blood. Remember, it's like I think it's 90% of your blood is water. You need that to keep it circulating. You need exercise pumping it through, and of course your choices. Eating the right foods. You're not going to have your blood thick with some of the things that we eat will make our blood really thick. And of course, with our oxygen, that's going to help us as well. One of the things that we can do. If you want, you can just stand up with me right now and just stand straight. This is a breathing exercise you can do. And if you really do this a couple times a day or even 3 or 4 times a day to kind of get yourself used to breathing deeply. But you can stand up straight and you can put your hands on your waist if you want. And then breathe in. Yeah, that's funny. Breathe in really deeply through your nose. And then out slowly through your mouth. And as you do this several times, you might even just say 10 times or whatever you want to set, but do that in through the nose deeply, out through the mouth. And do that several times through the day. This gets you used to actually filling up your lungs, getting the good, clean oxygen in, And this will make you feel better too. If you're getting tired or lethargic at work or at home, whatever you're doing, go ahead and do that. That's going to help more than you know.
Would it be better to step outside?
Yes, oh, definitely. If you can get to the outdoors, definitely. Or buy a window if you're in an office and you can open a window or something like that, definitely. The good, clean, fresh air. You can sit down. I just, when you're standing up, you can inhale better. And the reason that you're breathing in through your nose is like a filter. And you're taking in who knows what with the pollution. And so your nose is filtering that. And also, your nose has membranes in here that also helps to deliver warm, moist air for your lungs. So this is important. And you don't get that when you're breathing through your mouth. Not to say that you shouldn't ever breathe through your mouth. You get to running or whatever, you're gonna breathe through your mouth. So, right. So, let's see. We want to keep the circulation. I already went over that with you in the house. We want to keep your windows cracked, especially at night. And you're laying there sleeping all night, and really you're covered up. You can just crack your window. Even in the coldest of weather, you can crack that window and get some good fresh air. Some of the ways that we can surround ourselves with good fresh air, like I was saying, was the exercise. You can take a brisk walk, morning, noon, afternoon. It doesn't matter. Any time of day that you can squeeze in a good walk, do it. Practice your breathing, like we just went over. Air out your bedding. Even when you're doing your sheets, and sometimes you can hang them out on the line. Oh, that's so wonderful. Air out your bedding or your clothing if you want to air those things out. And then, of course, to keep the proper ventilation. We're going to go over tonight. We have, I don't know if Rob mentioned or not, but it's called More Than Meets the Eye. It's a little play on words. We're going to talk about imitation meats, things to help people over the hump. Some people are still eating the meats, and then they see that there's benefits to leaving that off, so they're not sure how to do that. And that helped us when we first were going through these changes. We kind of used some of those meats more than we do now. We still partake of some of them because we still like the way they taste, but we just don't use them as much. But they kind of help you to get over it. It's not the ultimate in health, but it helps you to reform and get over that hump. So tonight we're going to have some really great demonstrations, some things that you can make at home, and also talk about some things that you can purchase either at Walmart or down at the health food store if you go there, or there's several health food stores in Mobile, and probably just about any place you go that any more they have.
Yeah, that makes a good thing there. All right, tonight we're going to try making some steaks for you. And you can have a choice of what my wife told me, the tenderloin, the little bitty grilled shorten. And, but you can go all the way up to porterhouse. And the way I make it, that's the way it turns out. But in line with what Teresa was saying, how many of you have ever heard of the blue zones? You ever heard of a blue zone? There are 3 blue zones in the world. And one of them is in Japan. I know very little about it. I know there's one in Loma Linda, California, and I know quite a bit about it. But the one that always fascinates me is up in the Himalayas mountains, and they live even the longest. In all of these zones, you live way up into the hundreds. I know when we go to California to Loma Linda, our son, they have a thing at their church. They read out birthday greetings every week. And it's a big church, probably a couple thousand. But you have to be at least 90 to get your birthday announced. And it always surprises me that in that group of 90s, there's always probably a third of them up into the hundreds.
Wow.
So they all eat this diet. So it is a good thing. All right, our recipe tonight is not going to come out of Miss Finley's book, but it's on page 73 in her book, and hers makes a lot because she uses 4 cups of flour. But this one you'll be using 2.5 cups of the gluten flour, which is the berry from the I'm assuming when they make white bread and they take everything out of it, they use it to make this. And whoever came up with this idea was a help saver. But I think I mentioned to some of y'all when my boys wanted me to make it years ago, you would wash flour, you would wash flour, you would wash flour. And 2/3 of it went down the drain, and then you had a little bit of gluten. But this is real simple. It's also, I like this recipe better because it uses a half cup of these quick cooking oats. It uses 1/3 of the cup of nutritional yeast flakes, and it also uses some of the raw wheat germ, 1/4 of a cup. And then you can either use the chicken seasoning that some of the ladies make, or I'm lazy, I always just buy that and use that. And you use a little onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic, a little salt, and a little cayenne again. And I guess I've never been able to taste the cayenne, but if you have something against it, you could leave that out. And the recipe you'll get in your folder calls for 2 cups of water, but I can never make it with 2 because every recipe I've ever seen, you use a cup of flour, a cup of water. And this one has 2.5 cups of flour and only 2 cups of water, plus the oatmeal and the wheat germ. So I've always had to add a little. So I normally now I just go ahead and have, I think I've got about 2 1/3 cups of water in here. And you want to have your ingredients ready. I've got it all measured out already. And when you have it mixed, I would put it in a big bowl, and you want to incorporate everything in it real good before you go to adding your water, because once you add your water, it's over with. And it's literally over with.
All but the
Yeah. My wife says to make it this way, and I'm lucky to get it made in a ball, but you can shape it, you need it, but it does go fast. So, all right. I'm supposed to be neat, and oh boy, I'm not used to these. I'm used to playing with my hands. And,
Yes, absolutely.
I always try to wash these on Friday nights. Now you're right. When I was a merchant seaman years ago, and I had a guy on the ship with us, and I guess it was on Saturday or Sunday, one day of the week, he got in the shower and he washed his clothes with the soap. He rinsed them, and then he wrung them out, and then he bathed. And that was it. I'm serious. But I do better than that, because you see who I'm married to. She will not let me in the house. All right, we're going to hopefully incorporate all this, and hopefully we got enough to get it all. So you want to stir it in good. You get it.
Seems like you nervous over
All right, we're going to get most of it in there. We can probably, no, I think it's going to be just about the right amount of water. All right, when you get it made into a ball, you want to start kneading it. And you want to do it like you would bread. And the recipe calls for a minute. But it's hard to realize a minute is longer than what it is. But you go now. I want to do it for at least a minute, if not longer. That would help. But I like to do it a little longer than a minute because you're breaking down the wheat gluten, and it's going to be a little bit firmer patty. All right, we're getting close to a minute yet. I think. You want to shape it into a log shape. And like I say, when you get in the middle, it's going to be a little higher unless you can really make it. And all right, most recipes call for, you can go ahead and start cutting it, and then you have your pot of water. And when you get your pot, try to get your biggest pot, because it's going to take 13 cups of water. A widest deep pot you have, because so you lay them in there. Now, if you cut this, that looks like a pretty good size little steak, but this is actually going about double in size. It will swell up. And it depends on your, that's one that's been boiled. You boil it for 45 minutes. And then you just turn the heat off and let it cool down in the broth. And your broth is, it has 13 cups of water, 3/4 a cup of this aminos. It has a tablespoon of the onion powder, another 1/4 of a cup of your chicken seasoning, and a little cayenne and a little garlic. And it seems like a lot of water, but like I say, it's going to soak. That looks like it's fried, or it could be baked. I've never made hers, and I've never seen her. Hers calls for a mix to knead it in, and or the seasoning. So I made you a copy out of the recipe this came out of. It should be in your folder on making some breading. Now, if you have a breading that you prefer, you can do it with that. There's all kind of ways that you ladies know how to do things. But now most of this, like I say, most of these just tell you to go ahead and start cutting it. Once your broth comes to a boil, you drop it in. Have you ever made chicken and dumplings?
Yeah.
Do you just throw all of your dumplings in there in the water? No. All right, you gotta do one different points, don't you, so they don't stick. Well, you do this the same way. And this, by the time you start getting it in there, just within a minute or so, you'll see it begin to swell, and then you just keep till you get them all in. Then you turn the heat down to a simmer, let it cover it up, let it sit for 45 minutes. But this recipe, I've never done it. It says to let it sit all night or an hour to all night in the refrigerator. Normally I give it a couple hours. It helps firm it up a little where it slices better. I do better with a serrated knife. You kind of saw it so you don't mash it and tear it. And you just start with about 1/4 inch strips. I would say you'll wind up with about 50 steaks that size or bigger. Some of them may be just a little bit smaller. And so I'm going to wrap this up here. Did you get me that saran wrap? And I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator, and then when I get home tomorrow morning, I'll make broth and do it. But we have some, hopefully Carrie doesn't burn it. And
freeze those?
Yeah, we can freeze it, after it's been boiled. Yeah, you freeze it then.
Did you hear him? No, right here.
He said they'd have some if you don't.
I'm sorry?
He said they will have some of this steak if you don't burn it.
That's my cousin, he can't talk about it.
So when, after you boil it, how do you eat? I mean, what do you do? I missed the first part. Do you like braise it after that, or I mean, how do you?
Yeah,
bread it,
well,
put it in the
I make it. She's the cook. I'll turn it over to her at that point. But she breads it and
Okay, that's what.
sautés it with a little olive oil in there. The recipe,
Stir fries out of it.
yeah, you can cut it little strips and stir fry it in a stir fryer.
And all that's after the boil.
Yeah, after the boil. You wanna boil it before you freeze it.
Instead of crab boil, we'll have gluten bowl.
Now, that might be something to try. I've never tried. Now you can use, this has a lot of chicken. It's gonna be more of a chicken taste. Or you could use a beef. They sell a beef. Yeah, they have a beef broth. You could try that. A lot of these, like the one in this book calls for VJX, garlic, doesn't have a lot in it. And there's one on the bag and it calls for sage, marjoram, onion powder, garlic powder, and then the water. So you can experiment with that and get different things. You can use it to, you can take this and just pull it apart in little bitty pieces. Because like I say, they're going to swell up and get bigger, almost double. And you can use them for chicken nuggets. You can brown them and put them in the oven and roast make like McDonald's chicken nuggets. And there's lots you can use it to do it. So,
Probably could make chicken and dumplings with that.
I bet you could if you probably use that to make your broth more with. Eric, you hear that? Chicken and dumplings. We haven't had any since, I don't know when.
So I guess that'll be tomorrow night, so.
Some of this maybe try that.
You give us the report tomorrow.
So, David, have you completed, or do you want to answer some more questions for the
If I have any more, I'll answer them, but as long as they're easy. And doesn't require spelling now.
Well, if we don't have any other questions for David, do we? No more? All right, we can get a round of applause. And, let's see, and now we have Harriet, of course, is David's lovely bride.
Testing.
And she's going to be showing us another dish. Oh, let me see. You're not going to use these, are you?
I'm not as entertaining as he is. People just have to. I'm going to be making black-eyed pea cornbread cake with jalapeno sour cream. And black-eyed peas are really good for you. I use the bushes here, and they have them with, I don't know that. They have them with bacon in them, and they have them with snaps, but you want to get just the plain ones. I looked up on the internet about the benefits of eating black-eyed peas, and it says they're loaded with vitamins and minerals like iron and magnesium, potassium, and they're huge in fiber. They're really good thing. In fact, if you have a stomach problem, especially if it pertains to the pancreas and, let's see, what else? And the liver and the spleen, it helps with that. And it's low in cholesterol, it's a good heart healthy pea, and it's rich in antioxidants. and it's a complex carbohydrate, so you digest it slower than you would something that was made with white flour or whatever. So our recipe is 1.5 cups of cornbread, and I make my own cornbread. And, it's made with rice milk, has no eggs in it. And, I don't. I use either White Lily or maybe Aunt Jemima cornmeal mix, self-rising, and I just add a little bit of flour, all-purpose flour to it, and then add the milk, and heat my skillet in the oven and all that. And y'all know how to make cornbread. And it takes 2 cans of black-eyed peas. 1 can I rinsed and drained and put in the food processor and pureed it. And that's it. And then the other can you rinse and drain and just put in there whole. And it takes, I think it's a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. And I use the Vegenaise. And it calls for an egg, but I don't put an egg in it. The pureed beans and the mayonnaise bind it with the cornbread. And it calls for a small red bell pepper, 2 cloves of garlic, and a small onion. And you saute it until it's translucent. And I did that this morning. All of that in there. And just mix it up. Sometimes I take my hand and mix it, but I won't do that tonight. Anyway, when you get it all mixed up, it says to form them in small, I think they make 12 patties, big ones, but I made little ones tonight for our sampling, and I think it made like almost 30 of little ones. And you don't have to add any salt or anything to it. And I'm going to pretend this is a baking sheet and cornmeal. It says to, I use the same cornmeal that I use for my cornbread. And you just form it in little patties. And they stay together really good. And then you just dust them with the cornmeal. And you put them on a cookie sheet or a tray like this and put them in the ice box for about 30 minutes to let them chill, and then you can saute them in the skillet until they're brown and crispy. And that's it. It's not expensive. I think the bell pepper is the only thing that's kind of expensive.
One thing I wanted to bring out is a lot of these things that you're going to be looking at here may have things that aren't optimal for our body to take, especially the way the animals are being treated today. Some of these things have eggs in them. That's why I was saying we don't use these things very often. This is something that would be to get us over the hump of trying to leave off the meats. And when you're eating the meats, one of the things that's harmful is it sits in your digestive tract for way too long, and it starts to putrefy. And therefore, that's what your body is trying to draw strength from. What's in there? It's putrefying. So we're trying to get away from that, or as much as that. If you're going to cut back, then you can replace it with some of these things if you're interested. It's not for everybody, but I happen to like just about everything, unfortunately. But I wanted to show you this. I got this off the internet, and it's by this same company Gardein. They're very, I like their products. But this is fish fillets. My daughter loves to pop these in the oven, and she'll make a fish fillet sandwich. I find it's not exactly like fish, but it's very reminiscent of fish to me. And I make my own tartar sauce, and we dip it in. We enjoy it as a thing once in a while. And so that's quick and easy. It's already done and prepared. These are, I don't usually buy stuff like this, but my grandmother wanted to, so I went in halves with her. They're very delicious, but I would probably buy more economically and get the bigger steaks and do them myself, put the breading on them. But you can buy them prepared, or you can actually get them that when they're not prepared, they're just a piece of chicken. It really resembles chicken.
What is it made of?
Oh goodness, I don't know if you want me to read all of the ingredients on here.
Was it
Yeah.
like the gluten flour?
Some of these are from gluten flour, some are from soybean and other items. This one, I don't even see where why am I not seeing that? Maybe because I don't have my glasses on. It helps when I wear my glasses, which I don't have with me tonight. But you can look at these. I'll leave them out here and you can look at them and see if you would be interested in them. This is one that we got. It's called a tofurkey. You can do it for Thanksgiving. It's not our family's favorite, but we do eat it. We're okay with it, so we get it occasionally. We might eat it maybe, once a year. I don't know. It's all right, but we prefer this better. Now, like I said, this has eggs in it, and once a year we eat this. It's just a dinner roast, and it is just delicious. I don't know how else to describe it. It doesn't really taste like any meat I've ever remembered eating, but it's a good replacement for that. A lot of these meat substitutes they're going to be high in protein. But when you're thinking about getting off the meat, you don't really need these things. You've got beans and rice, you've got nuts and seeds, and it's something that you don't even really have to count. Protein, you're going to get enough protein as long as you vary your diet. And one of the things I wanted to tell you as well, some of the items that we're using up here, like the soy sauce, the Bragg's, sometimes they're either out at the health food store, or maybe you just happen to have some soy sauce available at your house. You can switch that out. One of the things that we're using, the soy sauce, the Bragg's, is not fermented, and neither is, I don't think LaJoy is, and I don't think Crystal is either. I think that might be Walmart brand, but those aren't the fermented ones, and those are the ones that we prefer. But some of these items that you can make or that you can buy and just bake, they're really handy, good when you're on tight for time. Your kids are excited and hungry and home from school, you can have a burger or whatever really quickly. They have the burgers as well over there you've seen them before over in the freezer section. Yeah, there's several different kinds. I think Gardein even makes some, but there's, I don't think they may have started carrying Gardein. But you can get these online too. So, and I don't know, it might be a little more economical to get them online if you buy in bulk. So, anyway, this was more to encourage you, and I needed to, you bring out the green bean casserole. I took all of my recipes, when I was going through the changing, 16 years ago when I had my daughter, I had a trip from my grandmother's house who was not even living this way, but she decided to enlighten me. So she gave me all of this information. I had 7 hours to drive in Florida to Mississippi, and so I was pregnant, I was ready to deliver. All this stuff, about what it could do to children and different things, and the stuff that's, happening with our meats, and just a whole list of things that we've been going over. I decided to change then, and I didn't have the help that people have today. But I took all my old recipes and I just altered them. There's many things that you can do. You don't have to necessarily give up your old recipes. The comfort food. We talked about simple things like spaghetti and meatballs. You can just make the meatballs and then put them on afterwards. You're not going to soak them in the sauce. This is just a green bean casserole. I put the recipe in there if you're interested, if you like it. If you don't, take your recipe and make it, just make it work for you. There are things that we've gone over, like the sour supreme and the cream cheese that you can get down at the health food store to help get that switched from your diet, but this here was just my melty cheese recipe that I altered in a few ways that I put on the recipe that we handed you tonight. I excluded the pimentos, anything that would give it the color of cheese, I excluded those, and then I just put the mushrooms in it, and I've told you all that I've done there as far as that.
Tomorrow night.
Oh, you're gonna give it tomorrow night?
You're demonstrating the milk and cheese tomorrow night?
Oh, I'm talking about the recipe for the green bean
Yes,
casserole.
I did.
You gave it to them? Okay, some of them didn't get it, so we'll need to get it to you.